Always choosing the easy route to learn to speak English fluently has never led anyone to high levels of fluency, good communication skills, and radical confidence in having conversations with other people. And this is the mindset that has helped me learn to speak 5 languages fluently, build a business that is now impacting other people's lives, and live outside my home country for the last 11 years. None of which have been easy. I believe to my core that nothing is inherently hard unless you avoid doing it. And when something's hard and you do it, you're just simply getting stronger, more confident, and you're building a skill that no one will ever be able to take away from you. If you look at what most people do, they choose to do the easy way. They spend their time on apps thinking that that's what's gonna build them confidence. They sign up for these AI English coaches that will promise confidence, but how are you supposed to speak confidently without talking to another human being? Or how does someone expect to be able to use grammar without always breaking up or hesitating, without even trying to speak and say out loud all those words to construct sentences better, and then doing it consistently so everything becomes automatic? You see, choosing to do something easy usually leads to a harder life with more misery, more regrets, and more lost opportunities. Whereas choosing to do something that's a tiny bit challenging, a tiny bit about showing yourself how much more you can do than what you thought you're capable of, always leads to a better, easier, and more fulfilled life. I often hear from struggling English students sentences like, "It's so hard not to translate in my head word by word when I speak English. It's hard to speak in front of other people." Or "It's hard to remember all the prepositions, all the collocations." When I always ask them, and I can ask you too, what's your definition of hard? What does hard mean to you? Because how you look at something that's hard will eventually determine your success with doing hard things like learning to speak a language fluently. And I totally get it. I've been working with adults in the last 16 years, and I know learning to speak a second language is hard, or rather challenging. Do you wonder why most people haven't even reached a higher level than pre-intermediate? If it was easy, everyone around the world would be walking around speaking English proficiently. But one, you don't need to make it even harder for yourself by making the choices that make it even harder for yourself, which is mainly what this video is about. And I talk more about all of these unnecessary headaches that most struggling English students are causing to themselves because they don't focus on what really matters when it comes to building their fluency. And 2, just think, whenever you did something in the past and it was hard, it was challenging, you thought you would never get through that, what was the benefit of going through all those university exams? You got a degree. If you're a parent, raising kids is definitely hard as fuck. I don't know because I don't have kids. But you still do it because it's so much fun and there's so much value in it. Hey English learner, welcome or welcome back if you're a regular visitor to my channel. My name is Chubby. I'm an English fluency learning and language anxiety coach, and this is a channel for serious English learners who want to learn how to make vocabulary more memorable and how to speak English more freely, comfortably and confidently with the help of listening and spoken interaction. So if these are topics that you're into and you'd like to find out more about, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed yet, and the notification bell so you can get all the updates I'm going to upload here every single week, so you can understand more about what you need to do to improve your fluency and gain confidence in speaking English. I remember back in those days when I was still at a good intermediate level of English in my late teens. I've gone through everything. The first few weeks of speaking English were definitely the most challenging because it still took me time to put sentences together. I was so frustrated that no matter the efforts I made, I was still making a ton of mistakes, but I also had some amazing people to learn together with. At some point, I almost gave up. I even told my mom that I want to quit English because the classes were just so boring and the teacher was so repetitive. But I could also help some amazing people with like their elementary or intermediate levels when I was working part-time at a language school in Budapest. I struggled to pronounce sounds like or it or th. These don't exist in Hungarian, which is my first language. But I've also built some deep, amazing relationship with some of the coolest, most awesome people from around the world. Some of my best friends come from South Korea, Italy, Turkmenistan, the UK, and of course Japan. And of course, not to mention the countless times I felt like I wasn't making any progress. But all of these instances of this roller coaster ride called learning to speak English, all the highs and the lows, were the ones that made this journey of learning English so fruitful and worth doing. Can you imagine your life learning English? How boring it would be if there were no challenges, no hardships to overcome. In fact, I bet most people's lives are so boring, so unfulfilled because they always choose to do the easy things in their life. But you see, this is where I kind of disagree, because doing things that might seem easy, things like hiding, getting ready to get ready, waiting to be perfect, waiting to speak English perfectly, or waiting to be hit by a lightning bolt that will suddenly give you confidence, or saying to yourself, yeah, I think it's time I started taking my English more seriously, may seem the easy thing to do. What are the consequences of overthinking, hiding, not taking action on the things that are important for us? The consequence is simply a harder life, a life full of regrets. Because not only do struggling English students not speak English as fluently as they want to, but they're also cutting themselves off, missing out on a bunch of opportunities in life to get a promotion, a better quality of life, perhaps studying at their dream university, or just like in my case, living in the country of their choice, or simply feeling calm, relaxed, knowing what to say at a business trip, or when you have a meeting at work. And it actually doesn't even have to be hard, as long as you don't learn English the hard but the smart way, which I mentioned in 2 of my previous videos to explain how you could save a bunch of your time and energy if you don't continue to study English the traditional way, focusing way too much on grammar, on mistakes, translations and memorizations, and focus on actually improving your fluency, your communication skills, and change your mindset around it. One of the most common reasons struggling English students procrastinating on taking action, practicing their listening skills, reviewing vocabulary, or having conversations with others is because they don't trust themselves to be able to do hard shit, which is natural. I spent 3 months in Bali, Indonesia, and I never ever took a motorbike and rode it myself. And instead I paid a ton of money on motorbike taxis. I never rented a motorbike because I don't believe I could do it. I myself have not had the experience of riding a motorbike before, so my brain doesn't have any memories of successfully being able to ride a motorbike. But that doesn't mean I need to rely on just my own past experiences. I could look around and say, the millions of people in Indonesia or millions of Europeans, Westerners who moved to Bali and they are confident. And I could have just rented a motorbike, read about it, watch videos about it, hire an instructor who would show me how to do it, ask a friend who does know how to ride a bike, do it slowly but gradually improving, and I'm sure I would have learned it. There is an important sentence in neuroscience that will eventually help you understand how beliefs are formed. Your brain has to see it in order to believe it. And if you ever think I've never had doubts about a conversation, or for example, when I had to interpret an entire wedding ceremony in front of like 200 British people, and at that time I was already pretty proficient, I was still doubting myself, but every time I doubt myself, I tell myself, you may not believe that you can do it, but it's time to prove yourself wrong. So many times struggling English students don't believe that they can understand fast English without feeling frustrated, they can remember vocabulary in the long term without always worrying about forgetting vocabulary, or that they can have conversations with other people, even the most basic conversations with basic grammar, simple vocabulary, without feeling nervous because they've never shown themselves positive experiences with the things that they have all these emotions around. For me, learning to speak a second language is all about how I can handle overwhelm, to overwhelm myself less, do everything in English that feels a bit challenging, one step at a time, without my unrealistic expectations. Because ultimately, everything that's hard for you is hard because you haven't made a habit of it. Like, have you seen people dipping into ice cold water in the morning, posting YouTube videos every single day, or even people winning Olympic medals? These are really challenging things to do, but there are still people who do this mostly because they believe that they can do it, they are willing to do what it takes, and they know that the benefits of facing your challenges, developing your skills. And I'm not just talking about fluency itself, but all the other skills you'll be able to improve if you focus on improving your fluency, or discipline, problem-solving skills, consistency, long-term thinking, and a bunch of other life skills. And then using all those life skills that we've built up just because we chose to do the difficult thing, to deal with life better, far outweigh the benefits of staying where we are, not being able to handle anything that life throws at us. You'll be making far more progress if you don't expect learning to speak English to be always easy. It's all about balancing between having fun and making sure that you do it because you see so much benefit of it, enjoying the process, but also making sure you aren't just happy with your mediocre progress and you are doing your best to do 1% better every time you do something about your English. Because without putting in an effort, without being challenged, how would we expect our brain to learn English? The most successful students of mine always optimize their difficulty, making sure it's not too overwhelming, but also not too easy, because if you constantly don't really put in an effort, you will easily feel discouraged by having no results from the efforts you don't put in, and then you will find it easier to quit. Whenever you're held back by procrastination, you're feeling something is hard, something makes you feel nervous, frustrated, or any sort of all of these uncomfortable emotions come up, always remind yourself how strong you are. Think about any of your past experiences when you did face a difficulty and you did come through it and you did survive 100% of all the hard days you've ever lived through. When, for example, at the beginning it's harder for you to have conversations with other people, reduce the number of people that you speak to. This is partly why my courses are always small groups, max 3-4 people per group, because it makes people feel safer when there's only a few people there, plus they will have more opportunities to practice. And just like I've said before, you can always look for a community of people who make you feel safe, who don't judge you. Based on my negative experience in the past of staying shy for so long because I was just among the wrong people who was always finding every reason to make fun of me, to judge me for the mistakes I made, I've built my community to be the safest, most supportive and inspirational community to be in. Because when people are surrounded by people who are patient, supportive, encouraging, everyone feels safer and makes way more progress when it comes to improving their fluency. If listening to real, authentic English, fast English speakers make you feel frustrated all the time because you just simply can't make out what they say, do what I started with, which was only listening to a short snippet of a video or a movie without the subtitles and really training yourself to understand English through your ears. This was one of my biggest struggles when I was 16 or 17. I just didn't understand real spoken English. So I sat down and I learned all the different sounds of English, how they sound, so that I could start recognizing words. And I also needed to learn how those words are connected when someone speaks really fast, which I mention here, and I teach a lot about some of the most important things you need to know about spoken English. And then I started with small sections of movies or podcast interviews that I was watching without the transcript or the subtitle. And whenever I needed to, because I wasn't just using them for fun, I was also using them for learning, I rewatched the same 1 to 2 minutes again and again, maybe 2-3 times, and then check the script. Hard, you see, doesn't mean impossible. As long as you believe that you have every ability to face the difficulties, you're going to be able to overcome them. And if you feel like you don't agree with me, you can always check out my other video I recently made about the importance of mindset, which will eventually help you speed up your process of learning English. The difference is, the pros, the successful English communicators, always do their best to make what feels hard more manageable for them by building habits around it, chunking the whole process down into 15 to 30-minute tasks so it doesn't feel so overwhelming, and surrounding themselves with an inspiring environment that they can learn with and learn from. But they intentionally avoid doing what feels easy because they understand that, quite honestly, watching videos passively, not using all those resources, all those podcast episodes and everything that we have available on the internet, swiping their lives away on social media and tapping a bunch of buttons on Duolingo have never helped anyone build massive confidence in speaking English and communicate effectively with other people. Thank you so much for watching this. I don't take this lightly. Make sure you take some time and reflect on this What is one thing that you currently find difficult about learning English? Let me know in the comments and I'll come back and give you the best of the best advice to help you with. Make sure you take care of yourself. There's only one of you in the entire universe. And remember to face your challenges early on. That's how you do a favor to your future self. And that's how you show yourself how much you love yourself. So you could build the future, the happiness, and the freedom you've always wanted in your life.